From Taynuilt. The wonderful scenery around here is thrown into stark relief by the narrow sea arm of Loch Etive. If you keep looking, you might see a seal or two, their apparently inquisitive nature following a visitor's every move. If you're very fortunate, you might even see an otter with its sleek, dark brown, water-glistened coat hunting for fish in the shallows along the loch shore. Some of the woodlands around Loch Etive, like Glen Nant, are very special places. Here there are lush, ancient Atlantic Oakwoods, a remnant of Scotland's native forest. Among the oaks are birch trees with a scattering of hazel, ash and willow. The woods are fantastic in spring when the ground is covered in bluebells, primroses, violets and white wild garlic. These woodlands are internationally important, not only for their trees, but also for the abundance of non-flowering plants such as lichens, mosses and liverworts. They thrive in the mild wet winters and abundant rainfall of the Atlantic fringe. Some are tiny, with delicate, beautiful structures you can only see under a lens. Others are more striking, hanging down from the trees like beards or peeling wallpaper. This rich, diverse habitat is one of our best-kept secrets, Britain's temperate rainforest. But not so long ago, this area was busy with human activity. Smoke drifted on the air, and the sounds of calling voices and the rasp of the saw would reveal groups of men harvesting the resources of the woodlands. Some trees were felled for timber, and oak bark was sold for use in the tanning industries, in which animal skins were turned into leather. But most of the men working among these woods were employed to create charcoal. The reason for this lay at Taynuilt, where the great Bonaw ironworks belched out acrid brown smoke. The ironworks were built in 1753 and functioned for over 120 years. Being built on Loch Etive, a sea loch, meant that the charcoal and the iron ore could be carried in easily by boat. The ironworks produced hundreds of tons of iron each year, relying on two important natural resources: wood for fuel and water to power the huge bellows that kept the furnace alight. The resulting iron was also exported by sea. The ironworks operated in the winter months, using charcoal made during the summer. It only needed 20 to maintain and work the furnace. Initially, these were experienced men from Cumbria, employed all year round. But over 600 local men worked here seasonally each year, producing the charcoal. It's hard now to imagine such a high number of families living around these shores. It's worth trying to understand the process used to create charcoal. It was a highly skilled exercise. Oaks were coppiced every 20 to 25 years, taking the new growth of poles but leaving the trunk just above ground level. The men gathered the poles, cut them into lengths and set them on a flat area of ground in the woods. This was no random bonfire. The wood was stacked carefully to form a fairly solid, large mound around a central post. Everything was then covered with bracken and a thick layer of turf. To start the charcoaling process, the central post was removed. A shovelful of glowing charcoal was tipped down into the hole, which was then sealed. The wood was left to slowly burn. It could take as long as 3 days for the burn to be completed, and it had to be watched carefully. If the slightest breeze got into the mound, then the wood burnt to ash, which was a total disaster. But if all went well, the men would remove the turf cover and douse the carbonised timber in water. The charcoal was now ready to be transported to Bonaw. The process is mechanised now, but even so, the charcoal for your barbecue is produced in much the same way today.